any longer now. Actually, they actually own 51%. The Democratic offers, so they could actually do whoever the needed, yet accomplishing something that Gore investors yielded would in any case not be that benefit of a thought, and this absence of control most likely pushed them to leave the organization. Objective issues regarding control and the organization's future weren't the main things that his administration, however, one more significant pushing the to leave public life was their private matters. In 2012, Larry Page would be struck by vocal rope loss of motion. Larry had truly been managing vocal line guarantors for the sum of his life, yet the circumstance become particularly terrible. Featuring in 2012, his voice would turn out to be increasingly raspy and common. Larry would be staying away from profit calls, talking occasions, confesses, and obviously the media. Meanwhile, Sergey would go through his own PR bad dream. In 2014, it would be uncovered that Sergey Brin had been shaving an illicit relationship with the Google representative Amanda Rosenberg. At the time, he was hitched to Ann Watch's Key, who you might be aware is the organizer behind 23 and Me. To exacerbate things, and Sister Susan is the CEO of YouTube, so I would SMEs the chief gatherings at Google were very off-kilter. That Larry Page was likewise not entertained. Larry quit conversing with Sergey, and it doesn't seem like Larry at any point pardoned Sergey. Luckily for Sergey, he had a sufficiently enormous stake in Google that he was unable to be removed, yet it envisioned that public occasions were humiliating to join in, and this was possible, a central point driving Sergey out of the general visibilities. I think Mary concur that every one of the reasons we framed, consequently, for our legitimate motivations to stay away from the spotlight, yet I'll think the most compelling motivation Sergey and Larry have avoided general society is that Google original Vicen has been lost. On the off chance that you haven't seen at this point, Larry and Sergey have planned to construct a gigantic tech monster. Their dreams was generally to fabricate a think tank that was controlled by engineers. Simply ponder the tasks that Larry was most amped up for was Google Glass. However, both of these activities have pretty much been monstrous money pits. It seems like that about the circumstance. Larry had been companions with Sergey since school, and he established Sergey's relationship with and developed direct this undertaking. Yet as we touch on it, that Google was turned into research as more regulatory, benefit hungrier and monopolistic than any time in recent memory before. Google used to reliably rank as the top work environment a large number of years, yet toward the finish of 2019, Google truly exited the 10 work environments. Now I still feel that Google, by and large, effect on the world is predominantly good, yet Google is by on implies perfect. Google unique criticism was don't be malevolent, and I'm not certain if Delay and Sergey still accept that is still totally evident. With Google, the pair have granted addressing question about Google, about their viewpoints on Google's strategic approaches. They've never been keen on that side of the business, and reasonable favor that Congressperson Piche and different leaders manage that rather. Yet that actually leaves an inquiry: what have Larry and Sergey been doing since they left Google? Well, Larry has had the option to zero in his time on past quickly-ing vehicles over the recent year. He put resources into two numerous car-capable of flying organizations, and he appears to be really hopeful about the fate of flying taxis. Reports likewise recommend Larry has been investing a lot of time in his confidential Caribbean island. Concerning Sergey, we truly don't have a ton of experience with need he's depended on. In January of 2017, Sergey made an unexpected appearance at a dissent against Best's migration request, the San Francisco Air Terminal, and their reports recommending that Sergey is chipping away at some kind of sky yacht for $100 million. However, that is pretty much it for Sergey. The Toledge hold 51% of the Democratic portions of Letterset, however, so they could actually get back to the organization and shift the course that they needed. Now obviously they can't execute something however insane as Google seems to be, and yet that could modify Google's stance on security or its work environment climate. The two just sold $1 billion worth on stock, which was think for whatever might be most ideal or the most awful. Do you guys think Sergey and Larry will return to find out about very much like Steve Work or Michael Dell, with the now president Eric Schmidt and Elwood try and contend that Larry is player companions with Eric Dodney, then his prime supporter, Sergey? Larry has served as president for an entire 10 years.